Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another round of Inside the Clinch. Sorry, guys, for the 2 week hiatus. I feel like it's the first time we've been off for 2 weeks in a row, but we're back. The boys are back in action. Just had our first Bellator media day coverage this past Saturday, which was awesome.
Very exciting.
Eric, how you doing this? Very exciting, but how you doing this evening?
Hey, man, I'm actually doing great. I'm still very smiley. I'm still very excited about the weekend we just had. It was our first time covering an MMA event. It was a great card, Bellator 274. We actually are excited to announce we have two guests that will be on the show later today. Logan Storley, who won the main event against Neiman Gracie. We also have Davion Franklin, who beat Saeed Soma to open up the main card of the night. So two great interviews we're going to have later this evening. So stay tuned, guys.
He's going to be joining us in about 15 minutes, so we have some time to talk. Yeah, it was a sick card from top to bottom. A lot of guys that most people don't know, but they put on a performance. The first three fights of the night were ended in the first round, so it was a great start. The entire night, unfortunately, didn't carry out like that, but it was a pretty entertaining card. And for our first press event, front row seats, free food. It was awesome. Like the people were very courteous, very generous to us. Shout out to Bellator for the opportunity, and hope to do a lot of more of these events.
Yeah, like you said, we were off to a great start. The first three fights, three first round finishes. And man, like you said, we were right there, the best seats in the house, outside from the referee and the cameraman, inside the arena. Guys, we actually also wrote an article on the event as well as posted some pictures. So check it out. It's on our website, insidetheclinch.com. Get a fight-by-fight summary and some cool pictures that we took ringside. So let us know what you think. And like you said, hopefully many more to come.
It also can be found on our Instagram. It's in our bio. So our Instagram is Inside the Clinch MMA. It's our first. I mean, it's a big week. It's a big weekend for us. It's our first presser. It's our first article. It's our first ever like live pictures that we took. So and it's our first time that we're getting two main event fighters post their right after their fight to talk about their fight. So it's an awesome weekend, and I can't wait to talk to these two warriors later on.
But even outside of Bellator, this weekend was stacked of MMA events. We had PFL on Friday. Saturday had BKFC, Bellator, UFC, boxing. So just a whole bunch of events. Unfortunately, we were busy with the press event, so we didn't get to catch all the events. But we do want to briefly touch on the main event at the UFC this weekend. Jamal Hill knocking out Johnny Walker in incredible fashion. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos by now. It's gone viral pretty much on every combat sports page in general. Like, man, John, what do you think? We used to think so highly of John Walker maybe like 3 years ago, and looking at who he is now, like it's a completely different fighter.
Yeah, I don't think it's just us that thought highly of Johnny Walker. I feel like the whole world thought really highly of Johnny Walker. I remember at a time people were saying that he's going to be like he's going to take over the light heavyweight division. He's going to be John Jones. He's going to do
that
this,
was us, bro.
Yeah, I know. Like we were both very high on him. I was also very high on Ozdemir, but shit happens. But with Johnny Walker, it happened after that injury that he caused to himself, basically doing the worm. And
I still remember where we were when that happened. We were in Cancun. For some reason, when you're
were we?
Yeah, we were in Cancun. For some reason, when you're in Mexico, I guess the ESPN rules to stream the fights are different. So I remember we had a hard time.
Out of the country. Yeah, out of the country. It was a fucking shit show. We couldn't watch it. I remember that.
We had to watch it on our phone and it kept lagging, but we did catch that main event. And look, he had a great performance. And then he did the worm, like you said, and injured himself. And his whole career just went spiral from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, his career is not looking great. But let's talk about Jamal Hill, or as we like to call him, Jamal Hill. I mean, dude, he's looking amazing. I feel like maybe I want to say a future champion, but then we have Magomedov in there. We have some fucking savages in the division. So I mean, I'm very high on him. I would love to see him fight Paul Craig again. I feel like if that fight happens again, I don't think it's gonna play out the same way. I'm not saying that he's gonna defeat Paul Craig, but I feel like he's gonna have a different game plan and not get submitted. But
Well, it wasn't even a submission. His hand broke, like it literally broke, and he actually was on Ariel Helwani's yesterday, and he said that part of the problem was he came into that fight way too cocky, way too confident, and that's a mistake he said he's not gonna ever repeat in his MMA career. So we'll see. Hopefully, lesson learned. And I agree. I think that fight is a great fight to run back. We didn't really get to see how that fight would play out. It happened very fast and a very anticlimactic ending. So yeah, I'm completely on board to have that rematch down the line, whether the next fight or in the future.
Yeah, but very high on him, and not just the way he fights. He also carries himself I feel like in a different way than a lot of fighters do. He's very mature. He's very like well spoken. He seems like a really good guy. So I'm always rooting for him. And what a freaking finish on Saturday night. Like, did you catch that picture with Johnny Walker pressed against the cage with you see all the folds on his face? You know what I'm talking about or no?
Bro, I've seen that picture everywhere. Whoever that photographer is, I hope he got paid for that picture, because that was an amazing shot, perfect timing. Jamal Hill, man, he's a fucking stud.
I wish you could see my screen right now, because I just Googled Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker just prior to recording, and the first thing you see is Johnny Walker's face is folded up like that. I seen a meme also of them comparing the worm to that.
How it started versus how it's going.
Yeah, he's doing the worm like it's squiggly, and then his face is also the same way. It's fucking hilarious. But I don't know. I don't think he's gonna come back. I was very high on Johnny Walker, but at this point, it's kind of hard to see him come back.
I mean, I think he'll come back with a couple of wins, but not championship material. I think that ship has sailed. Look, the guy is young enough to make changes, but realistically, I think there's too many good guys in this division at the top.
What do you think happened though? Like, let's break this down. What happened? Like, he was so good, or was he just getting lucky, you think?
No, he was good. Also, it was a lower level of competition at the time. But when he got injured, I'm sure on top of physical limitations, because after surgery, no matter what, you're not 100%. You could be 90%, 95%. You're never going to be 100%. So I don't know whether he still has issues in that shoulder that he got operated on. I'm sure there was a level of mental issues, like, confidence maybe decreased, the hype died out. I'm sure it was a mix of both physical and mental limitations. Or distractions, I should say.
It's sad to see, because I don't know. I thought he would have been really good, and he has the personality. A little bit weird at times, but I feel like he would have represented the UFC very well. And it's unfortunate that he's not winning anymore. He's not looking like the same Johnny Walker. And I mentioned Ozdemir earlier. He was kind of on the same trajectory. I can't say that word. Anyways, people thought of him in a similar fashion. He gave himself the name No Time because he was knocking out everybody within the first few minutes of the fight. So that shit sailed as well. So I'm just curious to know what happens. Like, sometimes these fighters are just so good, and out of nowhere, it's just like they get beat or something happens in their career and they're just not the same fighter anymore. And it's fucking sad to see, honestly.
Look, I don't know how much you believe in this, but to a degree, I feel like riding in on the hype, not on the hype, but with the ball rolling, things going in your favor, coming off a win or two, you get a different feeling walking into that cage. You know what I mean? I think more confidence, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
So Johnny Walker, maybe the time away from the cage, plus the injury, plus whatever else we discussed. And I think the biggest thing is the change in competition. It's easy to look good against low level competition. Even we've seen Michel Pereira against lower level competition. He was doing flips and spins and whatever the hell you want to call bouncing off the cage. Now with higher level competition, he's really not doing that to the same extent, at least not while his opponent is fresh. He'll wait till he tires out his opponent. He'll break him down a little bit, and then he'll maybe do some flashy acrobatic capoeira moves, but he adapted to the higher level. I feel like Johnny Walker, I don't know, not yielding the same results, unfortunately.
So do you think this is going to happen? Because another person that's similar right now is Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat is running through everybody,
Brother, different level, brother. Cut from a different cloth, man. Khamzat, I don't know. I feel like...
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, he still hasn't fought anybody real or whatever.
He hasn't, but he also
he's
doesn't have the accolades.
It's a similar story. So imagine that happens. All I'm saying is imagine that shit happens to Khamzat.
But people like Johnny Walker, they weren't knocking people out. And they didn't go 4 fights with only one shot landing on them. You know what I mean? Like, no one is really doing the things that Khamzat is doing. And yes, it's fair that it's low level competition. I'm actually surprised that it's been so long. He's not injured or anything, and they haven't finalized the fight for him. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But besides the point, yes, it is lower level competition, but I just feel like the skill set just.
Isn't he supposed to be fighting Burns sometimes?
I thought that was finalized, and I keep hearing people talking about and speculating about it as if it's not finalized. So I'm a little confused. I thought that fight was scheduled months ago, but I don't know.
You know, it would be awesome. If so, obviously Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington is happening, right? So, who you got on that fight?
Probably Colby. I think Colby's just going to be too much wrestling pace.
I think Colby is going to win the fight as well. So, if Colby wins, and then if Khamzat and Burns fight and Khamzat wins, I think the fight to make is Khamzat and Colby Covington. I would love to see that fight right now. Fuck that Jorge. I mean, I guess it's for the fans, you know, like
it's horrible timing for Colby.
Former teammates and all that stuff, but I'd love to see Colby and Khamzat. I feel like that'll be a good fight. Khamzat is a fucking beast, bro.
I think the cardio might be the big test there for Khamzat because, again, we haven't seen him go the distance. We haven't really seen him go past the first round. So, I don't know. I feel like Colby, the pace is going to be a big thing, but I just feel like Khamzat is too strong. I feel like Khamzat has better wrestling, better grappling, stronger striking. I don't know. Almost everywhere he seems more well-rounded, more better off than Colby Covington. So, I don't know. Maybe it's too soon to say this, but I do think Khamzat beats Colby.
I mean, we've spoken about this. What about you? Think Khamzat beats Usman or no?
Usman's going to be a much tougher fight because Usman hits a lot harder. I don't know if to say that Usman has better wrestling than Colby, but I feel like the style of wrestling, I feel like Usman mixes in his wrestling differently than Colby does into his fight game. Again, I think in the grappling strength wise, I feel like Khamzat is stronger, but again, we have not really seen any high level grapplers fight Khamzat, so it's hard to gauge that.
Bro, Khamzat, he fought that dude, I don't remember his name, in some other promotion in Ahmad maybe. He was like a fucking Sambo world champion, and Khamzat destroyed him. Like he was a Sambo multiple
different cloth.
He's like, and that guy, I wish I remember his name. You could check it out on our Instagram because we posted a story about him. But that dude, the only loss that he has in his MMA career is to Khamzat Chimaev. So that guy is good.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying that guy because I fucking wish I remember his name, but that guy is good. The guy that I'm talking about. And Khamzat just did what he does. It wasn't as easy of a fight as Gerald Meerschaert. But it was a relatively tougher fight for Khamzat, but still he did what he needed to do, and he knocked out a well-versed and dangerous wrestler, grappler, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, guys. So I'll want to mention two more quick results this weekend before we get joined by Logan Storley in a moment. Mike Perry coming off his first bare knuckle boxing win. He went the distance 5 rounds. He was also on Ariel's show yesterday saying that after the first round, his hands were pretty much broken because bare knuckle, he cracked his opponent very hard and dropped him in the first round. And I guess he messed up. He broke something or shattered maybe something in his fist. He said he couldn't really punch for the rest of the 4 rounds. So to still see him get the decision after 5 rounds, very, very impressive. Another former UFC star, Chad Mendez, also got a decision win in his bare knuckle debut against Joshua Alves. He got a knockout in the 4th round, 1:34 seconds in the 4th round. So we finally had a weekend where the UFC fighters fighting in other promotions finally made a good name for themselves. We actually came out victorious this time.
Yeah, Chad Mendez looked like he was in phenomenal shape. I didn't watch either of those fights yet. I didn't watch most of the UFC card yet. I'm planning to watch them. But there's just, as you said in the beginning of the podcast, there was just so much going on this weekend. And obviously we were busy on Saturday and got back from Connecticut. Didn't really have the time yet, but I'm excited to watch all those fights. I've obviously seen the highlights and all that stuff, but I'm excited to watch those fights. And Chad Mendez looked amazing, possibly on steroids, my theory. I don't know, no support to this theory. Just he looked incredible, and
he looked a little juicy. And we know there's no USADA testing at BKFC, so I think that's a fair speculation, but no one's accusing anybody.
Yeah. So that was that weekend. In a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by Logan Storley. So stay tuned for that, guys. All right, guys, we're now being joined by the biggest star on Saturday night's Bellator card. He's a number 4 ranked Bellator welterweight coming off his biggest win against Neiman Gracie. Please welcome Logan Storley. Logan Storley, my first question for you is, how are you feeling today? And did you sustain any injuries from that gruesome fight on Saturday night?
I feel great. Obviously, you feel a lot better when you get the W, but no, my face a little beat up, but my nothing was wrong with my eye or my face, and my legs and everything else is all good. So, that's the biggest thing, is getting out of there pretty healthy and not having one of these injuries that puts you out for a couple months.
Let's talk about the fight a little bit. You had great success with a counter jab despite a 3.5-inch reach disadvantage. Do you feel that Gracie was getting more frustrated as you were accumulating those jabs?
I just don't think he can match my my speed in there. Me exploding in, hitting my 2-3 shots, and they were just a lot harder shots than he was throwing. He's got a good. I'll give him credit. He's got a really tricky jab that it doesn't look like much, but then it starts to kind of add up, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. And but besides the one shot, he never really hit me with anything hard. But I just think the speed and he was expecting me to wrestle. I really think that's what he thought was going to happen.
Oh yeah, so Storley. So a lot of people, they're talking about the fourth round. So you got hurt in the fourth round. People thought that Gracie was going to win, and then you go and surprise the world, and you almost beat him. So can you walk us through that fourth round? The crowd, I could tell you, the crowd was going crazy. It was electric in the arena. So can you please, from what you recall, walk us through the fourth round, please?
Yeah, I thought it was up 3-0 going into the fourth. But when you're everything's happening so fast. It's when you go and watch it, when you're watching a fight, it's so much easier to kind of really see what's going on compared to when you're in it. And then things were, he was getting some little shots off. I was landing my 2-3, 2-3-2, and then I ducked my head right into a hook. It was like it was a weird punch. It was a hook / like uppercut. He kind of changed it, and it hit me on the outside, and it kind of my face went numb for a second and kind of like had that little flash. Mm-hmm. And I turned, and then he came after me and landed some elbows, and it took me 10 seconds to kind of be like, oh, okay, man, I gotta fight out of here. But I felt like he got tired. When I shot in, that was just, you're just trying to survive there for a second. Shot in, we scrambled. He threw a lot of punches. And then at that point, it was just like, bite down on your mouthpiece. Let's go do this. And that left hand landed, and all of a sudden he was his legs were wobbly, and dropped him. And then I missed that right hand on the ground by, 2 inches. He moved his head at the last second.
Mm-hmm. So when you got hit, right? Do you recall? Do you remember, like, clearly recall what was going on, or was it like a blur in a way?
I remember getting hit and turning here because it was, it shot through my face, and then I remember being on the cage, moving. Like, you just got to keep moving. I don't really remember shooting. I don't remember kind of those scrambles. And then all of a sudden I kind of remember coming back to landing my shots. Survival mode. I remember just, keep moving and keep your hands up. Obviously if you take, 10 strikes with your hands down, he's going to stop the fight, Mm-hmm. And then obviously he was rocked, and we were both exhausted at the end of the fourth, and we both kind of got our win back there in that minute. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, you guys,
it was insane.
You guys didn't slow down at all in the fifth round. So that brings me to my next question. How did it feel going 5 rounds for the first time in your MMA career?
I mean, it was great. It was, it's a lot of work to wrestle for 15 minutes. And that's kind of what I've done in some of my fights. And it's like, that's kind of why I felt the way I felt. A college wrestling match is 7 minutes, 3-2-2. You got out of bounds. You got reviews. You got challenges. You got potentially dangerous so the match is slowed down a lot, and guys are still exhausted. Like, that's how exhausting wrestling is. And after the first round in this fight, I went back to the corner. I was kind of smiling, and I was like, I'm not that tired. Like, this, like, it's a lot better when I'm not redlining in the first 2 minutes from wrestling so hard, like I've done in some of my fights. And my eyes were reading everything. It was one of those it was a, breakthrough performance that I needed. I really, I was being 100% honest. Like I found myself of who I was and everything, all those years of practice. Cause I listened to some interviews that were before, the fight. I don't usually listen to them until afterwards. And most people didn't really believe in my hands. And like, I knew I had it because I've trained with the best guys in the world, but I needed to go do it out in real competition. And so it was really satisfying. That's what I'll say. I'm happy with it. The camp went great. And it's always nice to get the W, especially a dominating win. And now we're, I want that belt next. So we'll see what happens.
So Logan, as a fan, I'm watching this fight and I clearly thought that you were winning. When the fight ended, I thought that you clearly won. But going to the judge's decision, so we have some not very well-versed judges sometimes. Were you confident that you were going to win the fight? Or
I was confident, but I guess what's happened is I've had 2 split decisions back to back. I lost the one to Yaroslav, and then somehow the fight before this was I won 14 minutes of that fight, and all of a sudden it's a split decision. So
yeah,
before those 2, I would have no doubt, but man, it's, kind of what I've been through the last 2 fights. It's like, I never know what these judges are thinking, and, Gracie's obviously has a name, and family background. And it's like, so that kind of worries you a little bit too. And, but I was pretty confident that I got it done. But we've seen crazier stuff, decisions. And so as soon as they said, just a relief that, you got the W and the judges, did their job right.
Yeah, it would have been very upsetting. I was looking at the numbers and you almost doubled the amount of significant strikes. I believe you landed somewhere close to 200, where he landed maybe 108 or something along those lines. So if it went to him, I would have been very surprised and mad at the same time, because our judges, some of them, they need to go, I feel like. But I'm glad they got this one right.
Well, yeah, it's just for me, I went forward the whole fight. I landed the bigger shots. I stuffed all the takedowns. I dropped him. He hurt me, but I didn't drop. And I dropped him. And, I put his head back quite a few times, So it's like, I felt like those things added up over time. And that's why I was pretty confident. But I've had bad luck, these last 2 fights with just crazy judges. So I was just, relieved once they said it, 50-45 and then 49-46. And I was like, there's no way that they give them this. Like, if they do, it's just like, what,
would have been a robbery.
Yeah. So, but no, it was exciting.
So after you spoke with Big John, you got down on your knees and exchanged some words with Robbie Lawler. Do you guys remember what you spoke about in that moment?
It was just kind of sitting there and just being like, Rob was happy for me, and he's been, part of this journey since we both went to Combat Club. That was 5 years ago. We kind of came at the same time. I've known Robbie for a long time. Same agent, Dave Martin, our agent, and Rob's been a huge part of my career. And it was just kind of that, I don't know, like you found out who you were, and you had to win over a top 5 guy, and like you're doing what the plan was, years ago when I first started the sport, was like to be in that position, to fight for the title, to beat the top guys and be the man, and then to do it in the way that I did it, standing up, everything Robbie's helped me with, those kind of, the inner Robbie Lawler comes out, and it was like, I don't know, it was just one of those moments where I was just relieved, excited, and happy to share that moment with a guy who's done so much for me.
Did anything about Gracie surprise you? Was he better than you expected, or any worse? What were your thoughts on his performance?
He was I don't know how to say. He was a lot tougher than I kind of expected. I knew he was good. I knew how good he was on the ground, but I didn't really realize that man, he could take a punch, and he, whereas I watched some other fights where he kind of like would go for the takedown right away, and he wouldn't stand up, or he'd drag it to the ground. So I think we both surprised each other. And we said that kind of after the fight, we just shook hands, and he just said, your hands are a lot better than I thought, and it was like same to you, I think we both had the same idea. He thought his hands were better going in. I thought mine were better, and but I knew he wasn't going to be able to get to his shots. I knew that unless it was some kind of scramble where he got on top. But I mean, dude, he's tough. He is tough, and he's tricky. He's one of the trickiest guys because you can't. I guess you can take him down, but you run the risk of going right into his game.
So I have a question for you. So you fought obviously the best in the division. You fought the champion of the division, and fighting both. Who would you say is the tougher fight for you?
Well, obviously, Yaroslav has the win over me, but I guess with Yaroslav, it was his wrestling's better, his scrambling's better, but he doesn't present that same. Like your knees and your arms, like you have to be so so careful with Gracie. But on the feet, I think Yaroslav kind of has his hands are better. Maybe he doesn't hit as hard, but in that fight, I didn't let my hands go in that Amasov fight. That was a completely different fighter. Me compared to a year ago. That's two different guys. So I'm excited to get back in there with them, or MVP or whoever it is. But that's what I want. I want to prove to everyone, I'm here for real, and I want to be the champ. So I just need that shot.
So you said last Saturday night that this was the most fun that you've had competing, and it was predominantly a stand-up fight. A few moments ago, you also mentioned that it felt good not to redline your body the way you have in the past for the first couple of minutes of the fight. So could we expect to see you standing up more, striking more in your future fights?
Yeah, I definitely can see that. But at the end of the day, fights that make sense to take it down, I'm going to take people down. Fights where it makes sense to stand up and mix it up. I just need to mix it up a little bit better. And, that fight, that's so much experience and confidence you just gained in 25 minutes of striking. And, but at the end of the day, I can take down anyone at 170 pounds in the world. And I can keep, most everyone there. And I just got to do a better job of getting to my damage, getting to my damage on top. And now I can let my hands go, and now it's going to be even trickier for them to stop those takedowns and those scrambles. But I learned a lot about where to just kind of the pace of the fight. That's what I really learned in that last fight.
You kind of mentioned Yaroslav. So in the rematch, what would you say you would do differently this time around? You said you were kind of reserved last time, but specifically, what would you change maybe in terms of training camp, in terms of the tactic that you would use? What would be different this time around?
I don't think I would change too much. That fight, I dove in on a lot. What cost me that fight, I think, was at the end of the second, I gave up a takedown with 40 seconds left in a close round. And I think that's what cost me the fight. That swayed that one judge. That was me diving in on a single and going on, just taking a stupid shot because we'd wrestled for 9 minutes. Once I let my hands go, I knocked his mouthpiece out with the uppercut. I pushed him back, and then in the third round, I had a rear naked, was close. But I had him tired. I just got to let my hands go with him and kind of make it a all around fight, not just diving in on him and spending all my energy right away. And that's where I kind of messed up that fight. So it's just little things, but the biggest thing for me is to put everything together, and I kind of did that last fight.
So in an ideal world, I know you want the title shot. I think you made a statement. I think you're the top dog in the division that earned that title shot next. But if for whatever reason the Bellator doesn't come to you with that opportunity, but they give you an alternative to pick your next fight, who would you pick instead of getting the title shot?
It just depends what happens, because you have Lima versus Jason. Jason's my teammate. Then you have MVP versus Amasov. It's I don't know what those guys are gonna do, because it's May, right? If those fights are brutal fights, how long are they gonna sit out? But I'm also not gonna go fight the number 8 ranked guy. That makes no sense. You know what I mean? To me, it's like I've signed the contract for anyone they've sent me. During COVID, I signed I was gonna fight Joey Davis, and I was gonna fight Andre Koreshkov, whatever.
That would be a great matchup.
And then I signed, and then they sent me Yaroslav. I signed the contract every single time. No questions asked, signed it. COVID happened. Joey didn't make the one fight because I think California was completely shut down. And then Yaroslava showed up, and I tore my MCL a few months before that and missed a fight. And I didn't ask for extra time. I still showed up. And so I've done everything Bellator's asked and signed every single fight. Those are the names I just named off. Some of the toughest guys. And I signed the contract that day. So I'm not fighting any of these guys ranked behind me. I've answered the call every single time, and I just put on, an exciting fight for them, the fans, and it was a dominant win. So I want that shot at the title, and that's kind of where I'm at with everything right now. So
yeah, I think you made a statement. I don't think there's anyone else low in the rankings that you should be fighting before that title shot. So hopefully the winner walks out unscathed and has a quick turnaround so you can get back in there as soon as possible. Yeah,
exactly.
So we really appreciate having you on. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap it up?
No, just thank you to everyone. Received a lot of love after this fight, which is kind of nice compared to some of the other fights when I take people down. So it was cool, and I appreciate the MMA fans around the world that reached out. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah, and we appreciate on behalf of MMA fans the great performance that you put in. We were sitting cage side, one of our first times sitting all the way up close on such a big event. So you guys really put on a great show for all of us, and thank you for that. Can't wait to see you back in there.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, man, take care.
All right, see you guys.
We are now being joined by our second guest of the night. He started off the main card of Bellator 274 and arguably provided the fight of the night. Moving on to 5-0, please welcome Davion All Day Franklin. How you doing, man?
Sir.
Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So a lot of things we want to talk about in this fight this Saturday. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the noise that you had going into the fight. Your opponent seemed a bit bothered that you were ranked above him, even though he had more pro MMA experience. Now that all is said and done, you were the one that got your hand raised. Did Saeed's criticism affect any mental aspect of your game plan going into the fight?
No, not really. Not really. Just I'm like, no disrespect to Saeed, someone, but I knew I was better. I knew that he had a good game plan, but I came into that fight sick. I had bronchitis, and I spent the weekend before in the emergency room. So. But I told myself, I kept telling myself, this guy can't beat me on my worst day. I just kept telling myself that. And I can't remember Michael Jordan played with the flu. So I still went through with the fight. And I just knew I'd be able to do it. And I knew that, it doesn't, he's focused on the rankings and I'm focused on beating him. So I knew that was a difference.
For sure.
Did anything about his performance? I know that you feel that you're better than him, and I would have to agree with that. But did anything about his performance surprise you in any way, or his game plan altogether?
Yeah, he was he was more evasive than what I thought he would be, and he was also he threw better combinations. I think he improved a lot for the fight with me. I think that he was like, as much as I wanted to make a statement, I think he wanted to make a statement as well, and that I thought that was kind of cool because he you know he kind of evaded me a lot, but you know he didn't like he exchanged more in the first round than he did with Minikoff and Tyro Fortune. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that as soon as you walked into the cage, you had your back towards your opponent until the announcer called out your name. Can you talk us through, I guess, what was going through your mind in that moment, if there was any significance to that?
I mean, I always do that. That's like my thing. That's like my trademark. Like, that's my thing. And if anybody else started doing it, they stole it from me. So that's just my way of getting psyched in. Some people get themselves psyched out. I get myself psyched in the zone. Like, that's my way of getting in the zone.
Yeah, you look like you were charging up.
Yeah. Yep.
So what is like? So you face your opponent, like you don't face your opponent the whole time, and then when you see his face, do you get like some type of energy, or like how does that work for you?
No, it has nothing to do with my opponent. It has all to do with me, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with me like trying to like psych him out. It's all like I don't want to give my secret away, but yeah, it's honestly me getting myself in the zone, to be short with you guys, to put it, in short.
I got you. So the commentators on the broadcast, they were mentioning that you don't know how to throw a punch without the intent of knocking your opponent out or like taking their head off. Do you agree with that statement? And do you take that as a compliment or an insult?
I can't really take it as a insult, but I don't agree and I don't disagree. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm throwing every punch with intent, because I was able to do that the full 3 rounds, the whole fight. So like, and I did it without punching myself out. So I don't really take it as a compliment or an insult.
I think that what they're referring to is when you're throwing your punches, it's so crazy because you're such a big guy, and like just imagining if one of those hits land, it's gonna be night for any of your opponent, or not anyone in the world. I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely think that with Saeed Soma, like I said, man, like I think my technique just went out the window, because I really just like, man, I know I could knock him out. Like I know I just needed to connect one time. I think I was just trying too hard to connect, but you learn through trial and error, and I learned a whole lot from that fight.
So this is only the second time in your young career that you made it to the 3rd round. How do you think your conditioning held up? Like you said, you were throwing with power well into the 3rd round. I think a lot of people were surprised to see that, because most heavyweights can't have that same power and cardio so late in the fight.
Yeah, just hearing him like constantly talk about my cardio, like he's either underestimating my cardio or overestimating his own cardio, because I remember there was a time in that, like, I knew I was getting tired, but like I wrestled my whole life, so I knew how to push through my tiredness. And I think when I looked at his face, he was like huffing and puffing too. So it's like, all that cardio talk he was talking about, that was, that was BS. You know what I mean? Like, truthfully, I put in the work, and I knew I put in the work, so it gave me the confidence to, like, I do punch and ropers. It gave me the confidence to go into the fight and know that I could like, I could punch and I could strike with him into the 3rd round. I just wish that I would have been more composed instead of like seeing red. That's why I was like so hard on myself after the fight, and I just wanted to get back in there ASAP, which I'm already lined up for a new fight.
Can you break the news? The name, anything?
I'll tell you, it's May 6th and it's in Paris. That's all I'll tell you.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. We're definitely going to be tuning in for that.
Thank you.
So my next question, I don't necessarily agree with it, but what people are saying, but there's some chatter in the media. Some people think that the fight could have gone the other way. When the fight finished, were you confident, and did you think that you did enough to win the fight?
I was confident, but I knew that. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see a whole lot of people talking about that it could have went the other way. Most people think it should have been a unanimous decision.
It's what I see is a lot of people are mentioning the striking differential. So do you think the striking differential, do you think those are accurate? Because I got 2 takedowns.
If you watch
You know
the
what I
fight, I
mean?
mean, you walked him down pretty much the whole fight.
That's
So
what
I'm
I'm saying.
almost
If you watch
surprised
the fight, he's kind of like the strikes that he did throw. He threw it in a clinch, and they were like strikes they had no significance to it. Like he didn't tag me at all. He didn't move me at all. Like I don't know. I do think that the people who wanted to see him win, of course, they're gonna have something to say. But do I give a shit? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that do for me? Worried about what they got to say about me? Come on now. I beat his ass, and if we fight again, I know what I'm gonna do different. It's gonna be a whole different performance. But I do respect him.
So with the exception of your first pro MMA fight, you fought almost exclusively at the Mohegan Sun Arena. Has that arena become like your house, or are you hoping to fight outside of Connecticut as your career progresses?
I'm hoping to fight outside of Connecticut as my career progresses, but it seems like the people in Connecticut are kind of getting to know me. I feel like I've kind of developed some kind of a fan base there. So I wouldn't mind fighting there whenever. I like it. I like fighting there. I know the place now. So, truthfully, it doesn't matter where I fight. Every cage is my home.
So I heard something about the WWE showing interest in signing you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, if it's true, and are you interested in that at all?
Yeah, I grew up watching WWE. When I was about 19 years old, I was a national qualifier for collegiate wrestling. And long story short, after one of my wrestling matches, which is how I looked, Dre Briscoe approached me and he tried to sign me, but I was still in school and I wanted to give it some time. So long story short, I ended up like playing. Well, yeah, I ended up pursuing it, kind of like basically they tried to sign me. And by the time it kind of started to happen, I just wasn't interested anymore. And I went to Orlando, had the tryout. Didn't go so well. I wasn't prepared, and that was that, honestly. And yeah.
So after you finish your MMA career, is that something you would still consider, or is that out of the question at this point?
I don't know. Like, it's weird for me to think about me finishing my MMA career because I know like there's a lot that I could achieve in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I can't even think about doing anything else but MMA right now. Like MMA has been so good to me,
I gotcha.
So you said the next fight that you want is Linton Vassal next summer after you've had some time to fix the errors that you made. You've also on the show just now mentioned a couple of times that you want to fix a couple of errors that you made. So any of those you can allude to as to what went wrong or what you could have done better this Saturday?
Yeah, I think, like I said, more composed in my striking. I could have been more technical in my striking, but I think that just comes with like just time and getting more skin in the game. Because like I could in practice I can throw like super good, but in a real fight where the pressure's on, the lights on, everybody's looking at you, it's a whole different ball game. So just being more composed, and I also want to throw more uppercuts. Also, like I shouldn't have let Saeed Soma hold me against the cage so much. I'm bigger than him, I'm stronger than him. I could have moved him off of me, but I kind of just took those opportunities just to catch my breath because I knew he was like expending his own energy trying to hold me down. So I was like, okay, he's trying to catch his breath. Let me catch my breath. And, then that's kind of what I was thinking. But just little things like that, more technical in my striking. Don't leave myself exposed so much. Throw more uppercuts, those kind of things.
I got you.
Yes,
This is gonna be my last question. We're gonna let you go after this.
Yes,
And you don't have. This is not really related to your fight, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But you training out of Jackson Wink.
I already know.
You already know what I'm gonna. Yeah. What did you think of the breakup between John Jones and Jackson Wink? And what are your thoughts on that? And once again, if you feel uncomfortable answering that, you don't have to.
I know. In truth, man, like for the most part, every encounter I've ever had with John Jones has been pleasant. It's unfortunate that we spend more time hanging out as boys than training partners. But I hope that's a situation that could be rectified between him and the coaches, and they could come together because John Jones he's John Jones. He's the GOAT. I want to see him continue to thrive. I don't want to see, like, I don't know, like, he shouldn't be going through what he's going through at this point in his career. So, my opinion, I hope that one day he could probably come back, but, you know, that's entirely up to him.
Mm-hmm. So you and John Jones are good friends. You guys still hang out and stuff like that?
We don't hang out anymore. He hit me up not too long ago, and he was like trying to like train me or something like that, like become a coach or something like that. But
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have said that, but truthfully, no, we don't hang out like that anymore, you know. But truthfully, I have nothing but good things to say about John Jones. Like I could, yeah.
So
I can tell you, yeah.
Have you guys had a chance to share some rounds in Jackson Wink while he was there?
Yeah, we grappled. It's when we sparred, and one of the only times we sparred, like it was when I first got to the gym, and I don't think he thought that I was worthy or something, but he didn't really like try at all. But I know like when last time that we grappled, he was really trying to like to prove the difference, how much better he was than me. But yeah, it didn't really. It was a good time. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I have one last follow-up question about John Jones. I'm gonna stop bothering me about this. So it's known that John Jones wants to fight in heavyweight now. What do you think of this? You think he's gonna be successful in the UFC light heavyweight division, or you think it's a bad move for him?
Well, we got to see when he's gonna fight. You know what I mean? He's been talking about fighting for the last 2.5 years. Hasn't fought, so it's kind of like. How long do we got everybody's gonna keep having this conversation when he hasn't fought? Like, you know, like eventually that window of opportunity closes. So I don't know if he can fight this year. I think he can make. I think if he fought someone like Stipe, he can make that jump successfully. But again, he's John, man. But again, like, you know, I'm about to be the heavyweight that people need to watch out for. That's a fact. I'm about to run through all these motherfuckers in Bellator. That's a fact.
Do we have any predictions when you're going to get that Bellator heavyweight belt around your waist?
Shoot, if I get Lynn Vassell around this time next year.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Yep. I just need to keep honing my craft, need to keep making sacrifices. I want to get. I'm tired of people calling me Derek Lewis 2.0. Like I'm tired of that narrative. So like I want to break that narrative, bro. Like I just maybe I need to get myself in better shape or get a nice nice six pack or something like that. But like, yeah, bro, I'm tired of being compared to Derek Lewis. I'm nothing like Derek Lewis, which is crazy because Derek Lewis is actually probably my favorite heavyweight. But the fact that people keep calling me, oh, that's Derek Lewis 2.0, that's kind of annoying at this point. So.
Maybe it's a compliment to your knockout power, but aside from that, I think your styles are different enough to not confuse
Derek Lewis, Derek Lewis, man, he's a good heavyweight, man. He has knockout power. He's entertaining. He loses the big ones. I don't want to be a guy who loses the big ones. I want to be a guy who wins the big ones. You know? Can't
wait to see that, man. It was a pleasure having you on. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap it up?
Man, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, man, just look out. Like I said, like. These guys can't hang with me in Bellator, man. I'm about to run through these guys. Like, someone was supposed to be the cardio guy, the guy who has a really good cardio, and I really went in there and showed that did not matter. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep closing these gaps, keep Xing off these errors that I may have, and before I know it, like, I'll be more complete. So, I'm looking forward to kicking ass and taking names. Honestly, Lynn Vassell, Tyrell Fortune, Steve Mowry, anybody in the top 10, like, you know how I'm coming, bro.
Yeah, man.
I'm feeling really confident in my abilities, and my confidence just keep getting, the more and more I fight, my confidence just keep going up. So just looking forward to keep proving it. Someone was a really good test, but I know what I need to do differently, and I look forward to having a better performance next time I step into that cage.
You've had a great start off to your career, 5-0, 3 first-round finishes, and the next fight, you said May 16th, is that right?
May 6th.
May 6th in Paris. We're definitely going to be tuning in. We're big fans of yours now. We're definitely going to be along for the ride. So best of luck, man.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. And once again, I'm sorry for being late, bro. That's not my MO. I just kind of lost track of time and I was doing other things. So
no worries at all. We'd love to have you back in the future, man.
Yes, sir, man.
Take care, man.
Yep. Take care, brother.